Practice doing this with both arms at the same time or one arm at a time. Our next exercise is bent knee opening. This exercise teaches how to move the leg without moving the trunk for stability with rotational forces. As we inhale, we open the leg towards the mat, and as we exhale, we return to the starting position. The opposite knee remains stationary while the other leg moves. Keep the pelvis and the low back nice and steady. And remember, with spinal stenosis, pay extra close attention to make sure that you don't arch your spine into extension. Our next exercise is our bridge. This exercise improves spinal mobility, body awareness, posture, hip mobility, and hamstring strengthening. Inhale at the top and the bottom of the movement, and exhale while rolling up through the spine and rolling back down. Avoid over-squeezing the glutes. Move fluidly and lift and lower through each spinal segment. Avoid holding the breath, especially if you have hypertension. Our next exercise is the assisted roll-up. This exercise improves spinal mobility, abdominal strength, body awareness, and posture. We are going to exhale while rolling up and down and inhaling at the top or the bottom of the movement. Gently press the hands and legs together, peeling away from the mat instead of lifting. We are going to avoid this exercise if you have osteoporosis due to the amount of spinal flexion. Next, we will practice moving side to side. This exercise improves spinal mobility into rotation, rib mobility, and posture. Begin the movement using the legs and pelvis. Return starting at the ribs, finding center before switching to the other side. You can inhale as you rotate to the side and exhale to rotate back to center. If you are pregnant or dealing with an abdominal injury, you can leave your feet on the ground and move the knees side to side to avoid overstraining the abdominal muscles. If you have any pain or find this movement difficult to control, reduce the range of motion and only move within the movement that you feel you have good control of. Make sure you keep both shoulder blades on the mat the entire time, but allow the ribs to leave the floor if they can. Next, we will practice side lying. This exercise improves body awareness, trunk stability, hip mobility, and maintaining a neutral spine while moving the leg. Exhale to hover the leg parallel to the mat. Inhale as you bring the knee forward, keeping the torso in neutral, and as you exhale, bring the leg behind the pelvis, drawing the abdominal wall in to maintain a neutral spine. Keep the hips and shoulders stacked on top of each other the entire time. If you have discomfort in your shoulder, you can place your head on a pillow and stretch your bottom arm out in front. With hip pain, you can place a pillow or a towel underneath the hip to pad a little bit more. During pregnancy, you can use a small towel roll to support the belly. If you have spinal stenosis, make sure that you don't arch your back, especially during hip extension. Notice if there are any differences in your mobility or control on the other side. Moving into our quadruped series, this exercise teaches how to move the limbs without moving the trunk. It improves awareness, spinal mobility, trunk stability, shoulder strength, and hip mobility. Inhale to lengthen the torso. Exhale to lengthen the leg behind the torso without changing the position of your pelvis or your spine. Inhale to find length through the leg, and then exhale to return back to your starting position. Press through the entire hand to engage the back of the shoulder blade to avoid sagging in the rib cage. Avoid this exercise if you have an inability to bear weight through the shoulders, hips, or knees for any reason. You can also practice exhaling to lift one arm at a time without changing the position of your torso. Avoid excessive flexion or extension in the cervical spine by looking down at the mat and keeping the back of the neck nice and long. Exhale and lengthen one arm and the opposite leg away from the torso, maintaining a neutral torso. We just have a couple more exercises. You're doing great. The dart exercise helps improve thoracic mobility and strength, core strength and extension, and tones the arms. Inhale to lengthen the torso and hover the head off the mat. Exhale to lengthen the arms and roll the torso into thoracic extension. Palms can be up or down. To avoid excessive lumbar extension, gently press the pubic bone towards the mat and keep the lower abdominals engaged. Avoid excessive cervical extension by looking forward on your mat. A common mistake is rolling the shoulders up or forward, so draw the shoulder blades down the back and widen the collarbones. Skip this exercise if you are in your second or third trimester of pregnancy or if you have spinal stenosis. You can add an arm press by pumping the arms towards the ceiling as you're lifted. Moving on to the prone press-up, this exercise improves thoracic mobility and core strength and extension. Inhale to lengthen the torso and hover the head off of the mat. Exhale to reach the elbows back and begin to peel away from the mat. Continue to extend through the thoracic spine without letting the lower ribs leave the mat. Just like before, we want to avoid shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears and keep the neck in a neutral position. So keep your gaze down towards the mat. Our final exercise is the standing roll down. This exercise improves spinal mobility into flexion from the head all the way down to the pelvis. It also works on hamstring length and posture. Inhale to lengthen the back of the neck and shift the weight towards the front of the feet. Exhale to begin to roll down, starting with the head and the neck. Continue to roll all the way down while keeping the weight towards the front of your feet. Inhale and exhale when you're in the final forward fold, and then exhale to roll all the way back up to standing. If you have tight hamstrings, you can keep the knees bent as much as needed in order to get through your full spinal range of motion. We're going to avoid this exercise if you have osteoporosis, again, because of the amount of spinal flexion required.